Hello and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Thursday, the 16th of June. Recently, I was reading in a book that had some quotes by Maya Angelou, and this one really struck me. It says, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Maya Angelou. Does that ring true for you? It is such a powerful statement for me. I can't remember some of the names of the kids I played with at recess when I was in kindergarten or grade 1 or 2, but I can give you the name and I can remember exactly what they look like and where they sat in class of the kids who picked on me, the kids who, made fun of me or the bully in class. That kid who made me feel really great, who remembered my birthday, I can remember them. Even if they weren't somebody I normally hung around with, I can remember that person. I remember times when my grandmother or my grandfather said something that maybe was just in passing, but for some reason it made me feel so incredibly good, or on occasion incredibly shamed. Necessarily so because I wasn't always the best child. But those things, it's the way people make us feel. We remember those things. And I was thinking a lot about that, the fact of that today. We had in Bible study in my Edgerton group on Monday this week. We were talking about something, and we're talking about that how we have become the generation. We now have been defined. Our generation, generations of today have been defined by an era. Our grandparents maybe had that, pre-war, post-war, the depression, the drought, things like that, the famine. People had they had that then and now comparison point. Well, we realized that we had the pre-COVID, post-COVID, or now times. People talking about what we used to do before 2020, when we could go out and do things without masks and worrying about social distancing and things like that. And now we talk about the way things are done now, and we've become, without even thinking about it, a group of people who have en masse changed from one way to another way. Some things are slipping back a little bit to the way they were, but they're not really completely. It's like drawing a circle. We could start a circle here and go all the way around here. But when you're on the paper, if you veer off a little bit from the trajectory, by the time you get back to the top of the circle, you've gone completely away from where you were. We're more into a spiral mode, moving in a completely different direction, but not completely. We're moving in a different direction, heading in the same direction, but a few degrees off, which eventually makes for a big difference. And recognizing that, listening and thinking about what people are talking about pre and post COVID, and then and now, when we were who we were, and now that we have to be careful all the time, and thinking about that, about how people make us feel, what our feelings really came to the fore during COVID, during the pandemic. People began to be really aware of the importance of relationships and mental health. Doing those things. Somebody who was one of those folks, was not me, who got really into making up that starter dough. Getting that sourdough ready and then having that starter that will live forever. People will have 200 years from now. This was great 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 grandma's starter dough from the COVID. This is COVID bread. Things like that. Those things. When somebody would make a loaf of bread and then drop it off at someone else's door. Or I remember the day that we heard about the people in Italy who were standing on their porches, on their balconies, and even though they weren't allowed to go out, they were singing to the world. They were singing to one another. And that wasn't so much what they were doing, it was how they were making people feel. They were helping other people to feel not so alone. That even though they were alone in their own apartments, in their own homes, they could come together in that way, and they could be together as a community from afar. And they could make other people feel community minded, that people wouldn't feel so lonely for just that little while. I remember early in the pandemic here in Canada, in particular in Ontario, one of the things was to go out at a certain time, like say 7 o'clock at night, and bang pots and pans on your front porch in appreciation for the doctors and nurses and all the staff in hospitals and all those people who were working through the pandemic who went out into the danger zone and continued to serve. And that was done to show appreciation, but to help those people who were serving to feel appreciated, how people felt, how people feel. We remember how someone makes us feel. And I got thinking about that because there are times when, even though we're back out and about, there's a lot of people who have still said, I'm going to stay away. I've gotten used to being on my own. I'm going to stay here. And then how do we reach other people to help them feel something? One of the ways, of course, is through the internet. We've taken this tool, especially those of us from the church world who really, you chafe against the idea that we can have community without actually being in the presence of another person. I am a convert. I am learning from you that we can indeed have a community. And it may be a virtual community, but virtual does not mean unreal. I've also learned that. So thank you for that. But we can help other people to feel something by doing something like this, by being able to reach out this way. And even more so if we can reach out through Skype or FaceTime or Zoom, things like that, where we can actually interact back and forth. Or, through comments and things like that, where it may not be in real time, but at least there's some back and forth. There's an opportunity to reach out and touch someone in a different way. The sense of what make people remember is how we've made them feel. So how do we make someone feel something? And I don't mean that our job is now to go out and make somebody feel something. I think if we do it for that purpose, that we're missing the point. If we reach out to somebody because we are wanting to be in community with them, or we want to help them in some way, or we simply want to be good neighbors, then that's the point. And if someone feels something, if someone feels connected, or if someone feels blessed, or someone feels less lonely because of that, that's awesome. That's really good. We can't, I shouldn't wish we can't. We should not intentionally say, I am going to get up today, I'm going to make someone feel good. That is my goal today. Okay. Well, if it makes you feel good to do that, that's awesome. That's good. But the idea maybe shouldn't be that our end point is that we make someone feel something that they'll remember, but that we take the time to reach out to somebody. They may or may not receive it the way that we would like them to receive it. People may or may not watch my video. Those people who do watch the video may or may not like the video. Those who do like the video may share it with others, or they may not. What happens after I send the video out onto the ether of the world of YouTube, whatever happens then happens. It is out of my hands. But I can make this video with the intention of trying to do my best to help someone else. And if someone else is helped, then awesome. I'm so glad. If 10 someone else's are helped, amazing. If 100 someone else's are helped, incredible. But knowing that I'm trying to do my part to make someone else's day a little bit better, to reach out to someone and help them to know they're not alone, if it helps them to feel something, not that they would remember me, but that they would remember that they were loved, that they were cared for, that someone reached out to them, then that would be bang on. Exactly what I would like to happen. So what are those things that we can do? What are the things in your life? Recognizing where we are today. I know it's so easy to do that whole, well, if I had this, then I could do that. And if I had that, if I had $1 million that I could afford to not work, and then I could go out and I could sit with people in the park and I could, wouldn't have to go to work. Or if it wasn't, we're dealing with the fact that some people are, we're still worried about COVID or health issues and things like that, then we could be out with people. Okay, so forget all those stumbling blocks. Instead of looking at what we could do if, what can you do today? What simple thing can you do? And it doesn't have to be complex. It can be something really simple, really just a gentle moment. It can just be something amazingly, easy to do. Could you call someone, pick up the phone and have a conversation with them? Just to check in, just to say, hey, how you doing? I care about you. Could you speak to a stranger on the bus? And carry on the conversation as long as it doesn't feel too weird. Some people not open to strange conversations or strange conversations with strange people, like they don't know. But you never know. Smiling and saying, "How are you today?" Or, "It's nice to see you. Isn't it great that it's raining?" Or, "Isn't it great that it stopped raining?" Might actually start a conversation that maybe that person doesn't have anyone at home to talk to. Maybe they go and they work in a call center where most people are going to hang up on them when when they've answered the phone. You may never know how you have impacted somebody else, but they will. How you make someone else feel, especially if you do it in a positive way and they feel lifted up, encouraged, empowered, loved. You may never know what you have given, the gift you have given to another, but you will know, they will know that someone, even if it was a total stranger, spoke to them and gave them a gift and made them feel something. Again, as I said from Maya Angelou, she said, "I've learned that people will forget what you did. People will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel." How can you make somebody feel something today in a good way? Please feel free to comment ways that you can do that or ways that you have done that. And because I really appreciate seeing how you are changing the world, because to this little community we have here with Church at Home, you are indeed changing the world for the better, even if you don't realize it. You're certainly changing my world for the better. So thank you very much. Have a great day. God bless you. And I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael on Friday.